I'm Laura Miti from the Alliance for Community Action, an NGO in Zambia. Corruption, I would say, thrives where there's lack of transparency. So corruption happens because away from the public eye or in ways that the public cannot prove, usually resources meant for services, resources meant for a wider group of people end up in the pockets of those that are making decisions, of power holders. So in the absence of transparency, in the absence of especially beneficiaries of projects or those for whom resources are meant, being able to see exactly how decisions are made, how money is spent, how projects are run, you can be sure that corruption will take place. The international development sector is one area where corruption happens on both sides of the issue. So international development funds large projects, especially in developing countries. And you find that sometimes the funding will end up again, like we said earlier, in the back pockets of power holders, of politicians, again, because the beneficiaries do not know. And like I say, sometimes even those on the funding side will offer bribes in order to be able to enter sectors. So transparency is, you cannot overstate the importance of those who are benefiting to know, because if there's lack of transparency, you'll find that sometimes government actors in development countries will claim that they have brought a project, ask for votes, maybe even acquire votes, while using money from the development aid to plug holes for corruption within a context, within a country. So taxpayers' money is being filtered out and development money coming in, and nobody knows, nobody is the wiser. So again, transparency becomes very important. Allow communities to know when they're there. It's very important that Scottish organizations allow beneficiaries to know that this is Scottish money, this is Scottish taxpayers' money. So I'm Zambian, I work in an NGO. Until I came to Scotland, I had no idea Scotland was working in Zambia. And I find that very concerning, because I'm in the NGO sector. I know mostly I go into communities. I even go into the area in which Central Province, where Scotland is very active. So in that sense, if Scottish organizations do not allow beneficiaries, and even more informed Zambians are unaware of Scottish support, what then happens again is that government can claim projects run by Scotland as theirs. And Zambia is a highly corrupt environment. And so my worry is just that aid should not be used to plug holes of money being stolen from Zambian citizens by their own government or by power holders. And then it also that if Scottish resources, which generally are not coming through government to government support, but go directly to organizations in Zambia, it is easier for transparency there. It is easier to allow beneficiaries to understand exactly how much money is coming in, what are the choices being made, what are the decisions being made. And when communities, especially those very underprivileged, under-resourced communities, if they learn how to ask questions around project money, they also learn how to ask money on government money. So it is an opportunity to grow transparency within the country. Very important. Most contexts, at least I can speak for Zambia, we have very poor access to information, no access to information legislation. And so information that should be public, that actually belongs to the public, is kept away from citizens. So you will not know, for example, exactly how much money is being spent on a project. We do not know, we are highly indebted, we don't know how much debt we have. And so many times we rely on data online. The ACA, the organization that I work for, we used an EU database, their own database on exports to Africa, to work out that when the government claimed that it had bought for fire trucks for $2 million, that was not true, because in the year that they claimed that, the EU did not record any such vehicles being sent to Zambia at that cost. You see, so many times organizations, CSOs in Zambia, and I think probably across the continent, have to go to data that is openly available online and use it for advocacy at home in a way that you cannot, because in the governments tend to say, give us evidence. You know, you're just making up the stories, prove it. And of course, you can't use it just by anecdotal stories. Yes, we think these people are hungry. No, there's no medicines in the hospitals. But when there's data that you can use, concrete data to prove a case, then advocacy is strengthened. Just be open. All information should be available. There's very little information actually that you cannot allow both sides of the picture to know. And again, beneficiaries. I think international organizations need to stop treating beneficiaries as just yes, beneficiaries, receivers of charity who can ask no questions, who don't need to know. Because once decisions are being made and conversations are only at the higher level between power holders and power holders, corruption then happens. But if a young lady in Zambia, or maybe an older woman in Zambia, understands that because of this aid, I might have got seed. You know, there's aid for my seed for this farming season, or there's money to build a shelter for me while waiting to deliver at a hospital. If they do know, they will ask questions, or at least capacitating them to the next stage when they begin to ask questions why this has not happened is easier. But where it's opaque and all they say is a project happening, things become much more difficult and corruption becomes systemic. So overall, I think the lack of information and the lack of data, the lack of transparency usually means that only a portion of the resources meant for various targeted beneficiaries arrive there.